Sorry if the lighting's terrible. It's a very overcast day, but I really need to film this video today. But I also feel like it's kind of a good lighting situation. I don't know. We'll see. And I also, when I packed my bags to come and live in Belize for a couple months, I opted to pack more books than clothes. And I knew that at some point I'd be like, oh my God, I have nothing to wear. The time has come. Hi guys, it's Catherine, and today I'm going to be doing my September reading wrap up. It's September, yeah, September. No? Yes, okay. I keep forgetting what month it is, alright? But I thought that September wouldn't be a very good reading month because August wasn't. I just been not in necessarily a book slump, but more like I'm just really feeling really picky about what I want to read. So I just forced myself to just choose an audiobook like twice. I was just like, you know what? Go to your library's Overdrive and just see what's available and just choose one. So I did that twice, and I also read an ARC that I got from NetGalley. So in total I read 3 books, one of which was a 5-star rating and 2 which were 4-star rating. One was like a 4.5/4 stars. I don't really know, but I shall talk about them today. And I actually planned it out because I had enough books to plan out, you know, proud of myself. And I also DNF'd one book that I want to talk about because I paid tax on this book, so, you know. As always, I will be talking about the books in order of date rather than how some people do in order of rating. So without any further ado, let's just get started. So the first book that I tried to read at the beginning of the month, kind of, but I DNF'd it because it was driving me literally insane, was The Garden of Thorns by Amber Mitchell. Like I said, I paid tax on this. Like, I don't ever remember before, like 2 years ago, paying tax on Kindle books. Like, I don't remember that, but I did, and I was like, this book's supposed to be like $3 on Kindle, but no, it was like $4, and I was like, I did not bargain for this, especially since this book did not live up to my expectations. I don't know how far I got into it, probably, I think like halfway, or less than halfway, I don't remember, but I DNF'd it. I don't rate books that I DNF because that's just not right, because like, what if the second half of the book was better? Like, I have a problem when people rate books that they haven't finished, because there are a lot of books that I hated the beginning of and the end was all right, or I really loved the end, so, and like it gave it like another star. So I don't know, like I can't agree with rating a book, and it also may misrepresent a book for other people. I don't, you know, whatever. I could do like a whole book talk on this maybe, but I feel like I'd ruffle a lot of people's feathers. I mean, if you do it, I just don't know why. I don't get it. But whatever. In The Garden of Thorns, we basically follow this girl who has been part of this, the like synopsis, it's nothing like, the synopsis like misleads you. I thought it was gonna take place in like a garden, like I imagine like a garden, like a place, you know? But no, the garden is like this troupe of like performers, but all these girls in this performance group, they're all captured and they're like slaves, and like, I don't know, and this girl, and our main character, she was like picked up because she was like a refugee from like another country, and like, they just keep dropping hints like, oh my gosh, you'll never guess, like, oh, I have this big secret. But it was so easy to figure out what her secret was that every time they tried to drop a hint, I was like, I get it, like, you're not being like sly and like mysterious, like you're just being annoying at this point. I was not enjoying that. It was like, oh, you'll never know my past, and oh, when this happened in my other country, like I can't even think about it. I'm like, yeah, and the things that made like the plot move, like she like, I don't know, it says it in the description. She like takes a guy as like hostage because she wants to like escape, so she takes him as hostage. And then he decides to take her as hostage because he thinks that she's trying to like kill him or whatever. Like she knew that it was him because he's like a prominent rebel, or like leader of the rebels. And then she's like, she wants to get away because she wants to go back and help like her sisters from the like thing, like sisters as in like friends. And then like he's like, no, I can't let you go, but then I just don't get, like, it doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know why you couldn't just let her go. So, yeah. But anyways, that was a waste of my money and time. So let's move on into a book that I actually read. And the first book that I finished this month was Half Bad by Sally Green. This was an audiobook that I listened to. I really loved the narration. I give this book a 5 out of 5 stars. I know a lot of people don't really like this book, but I'll talk about that in a second. So in this book, we follow a male main character named Nathan, who is half white witch and half black witch. White witches are good witches, black witches are bad. So he's half bad. And so he's kind of been the black sheep of his family. He's growing up like white witches in like a white witch kind of society, because black witches are bad, so and his father is a famous black witch. So basically in this book we follow mostly his growing up to the, like the point of where he gets his powers, like because there's like at like 17 or something. When he turns 17, he has like this like initiation kind of thing. Initiation probably isn't the word, and this book was really good. I really enjoyed the narration of it. It was narrated by a British dude and I really liked it. I listened to this book in like one day and like it felt so like magical. It felt like there was like magic in the air for me. It felt like you could just like listen to this on a rainy day. It felt like a rainy day kind of book. If you don't know what to read on a rainy day, just listen to that book and you'll feel complete. It wasn't raining when I listened to this book, but it just felt like it. So a lot of people don't like this book because they're like, I don't like this book because there's no magic in it. Literally, in the description, the word magical is used once and the rest is just witches. It's not magic in the sense of like, here's a wand, I've got magic in my system, you know? It's magical abilities more so, and there's like, you can like, or like if you take the word witches and you're like, yeah, witches have magic. That's like saying nowadays witches, like modern witches, have magic. Like, no. There's so many different kinds of magic that you can't just walk into a book expecting like magic, but this was magical abilities. Plus, majority of this book was about him growing up and the rest of it's kind of like him trying to get his powers, like to make it to his 17th birthday to get his powers because he's being hunted, because he's a black witch, blah, blah, blah. Nowhere in the description does it say, here's a book about magic and we're gonna make potions and we're gonna jinx people. I don't see that in the description. I didn't walk into this book expecting anything of the sort. Let me pull up the description for you, the synopsis. What do I want to know? Hunted by era, blah, blah, blah. Modern day England. Oh, I really love the modern day England setting. I'll talk about it in a second though. Legitimate son, most terrifying witch, Marcus. See, witch, there's witch, survival, attracting Marcus, blah, blah. Will bring him to his own magical powers, magical abilities. Blah, blah, blah. How Nathan can find his father, no safe trust, blah. The girl he loves, internal, sensation, brilliant, gripping tale, alienation. I'm not, like if I read this right now, I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, let's read about some like magic, you know, like Harry Potter kind of magic. I'd just be like, okay, this book sounds cool, and that's literally what I did. Like, is it just because I read a lot of fantasy books that I'm like, magic literally could mean anything, so I'm just gonna wait to see what it is? But his magical abilities, and this whole book is before he gets his magical abilities. I really loved the world that it was set in, and that like how the magic system was set up, but there are these like white witches that have like the authority and thing, and I just find it really cool and really interesting. But also people say that it lacked world building. I don't know what more you wanted. It's modern day England, so, and I thought that the magic system was explained pretty well, so yeah. I think a lot of people might find this slow, but I listened to it in like a day and I felt really chill, and it just felt like I was learning about somebody's life, like a biography. People like biographies. But yeah, I just felt so like calm and like just listening to it, and I made a cake during it while I was listening to it. I just remember that. Oh, good times. I finished that I finished that cake really quickly. I definitely recommend the audiobook. I feel like maybe if I read it in physical form, I might have had a little bit of a different experience. I might have put it down a couple times. It might have taken me a little bit longer to read, but just listen to it in audiobook if you like audiobooks, because I definitely recommend it. I was looking at reviews after I had started this, so I kept my eye open throughout the book, just, you know, to see if this was true. I saw a review, somebody said, this book is Snape, the teenage years. Basically about some emo kid. He is literally fighting to survive. He has been judged and ostracized all his life. Like, I don't know, like, I don't get the emo part. Like, he's just trying to survive and trying to like make it to his birthday. And like, no, like, I did not see Snape in this book at all. Like, I just, no. It did not feel like a young Snape at all to me. They're like, oh, and there's like that Lily Evans figure, and I'm like, not kind of, but not really. Like, it didn't really feel like it, because he's literally got bad blood in him. Like, Snape doesn't have bad blood in him. He's fine. He's a regular wizard. I don't know. I did not read any Snape in that, like, personally. The only thing that I wasn't crazy about in the end, maybe I should have given it like 4.5 out of 5 stars, but I just gave it 5 stars, whatever. I'm very lenient in rating, I know, but there was just like this random like plunk of characters at the end that I was just kind of like it felt so different from the rest of the book. Like, when I think about all the events that happened in the book, I'm like, wow, that just seems not, like, kind of a little bit like out of place, but I don't know. I'm like really squinting my eyes right now because I'm just a little confused. I don't know how to explain myself. Yeah, I wasn't really jazzed about the end of the book. Like, it just felt weird. It felt like any other ending, or like an ending of like whatever regular paranormal book. Oh right, I forgot to say, this is a YA fantasy paranormal, if you didn't know. And I haven't read a paranormal book in ages. I haven't read them probably since like The House of Night or like Vampire Academy. I feel like I haven't read a paranormal book in a while, but I probably have. But as I was saying, the end kind of felt like your typical YA ending. I'm not the biggest fan of the ending, but I don't think I'll be reading the next book. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, but I don't know why. I just don't really feel like reading the next book. Like what he's gonna be doing in the next book is just like not, I don't know. I think this could have been a standalone. I'd have been fine with it. I'm not sure. If you've read the second book and you think it's worthwhile, definitely tell me down below. So moving on to the ebook / arc that I read this month. It is it's The Canary Club by Sherry D. Ficklin. This book comes out October 16th. If y'all wanna watch out for that. October 16th is the day after the deadline for our college. So I give this book like a 4.5 out of 5 stars. In this book we follow 2 main characters. This book is sentence? No, I cannot speak. This book is freaking hell, what am I saying? 1920s, like this book is set, oh I can't speak. This book is set in the 1920s era. Freaking, I'm like, wow, I'm struggling so hard. This book is This book is set in the 1920s gangster era. We follow 2 main characters. The dude whose name is Benny, I almost said Nathan, but that was half bad, who has just got out of jail for a crime that he didn't commit, and so now he's like, I gotta like get some work. He has to take care of his ailing sister, so he gets a job as like a loading dude for a gangster, which you'd think, like, he just got out of jail, so like why would he do it? But you know, that's what he could get, because nobody wants a criminal working for them. But anyways, point is, except gangsters, you know? So we have him, and then we have our next main character, whose name is Maisie, and she is the daughter of a big gangster. She was born into this life, so there's no way out of it, and she just really wants to like live her own life and like go to school and stuff like that. So throughout this book they meet and blah blah blah, things ensue. This is a YA historical fiction romance, so obviously they got together. But I really enjoyed this book. It came at a perfect time for me. Like, I just feel like just perfect. I haven't read a historical fiction book in a while. I tried to read A Skinful of Shadows a while back, but I just could not get into it because I couldn't do historical fiction. I haven't really read any historical fiction other than that one in a while, because I feel like I have this expectation of historical fiction. I want it to be historically accurate, but that's not always the case, and I'm always like, is this factual? Like, obviously it's historical fiction, so there's like made up stuff in it. I don't know, I just find it hard to get into. I kind of like want to like check to see if this actually happened. And also I realized while reading this book that a lot of the times in YA historical fiction, they don't really use a lot of the words or slangs that they used in the time period, or like the language, and so that kind of like puts me off. I'm like, this doesn't feel historically correct. But this book put in the right amount of like slang and historical like gestures and all those kinds of things. In 1920 movies, you can see that they do like certain gestures, like their shoulder to their chin. Like, we don't do that today. And then when you see that in that book, you're like, wow, time. Nobody does that. They did that in the 20s. Like, I just think that's so cool, and I really appreciated that. And usually when I see in books that they've done something that we don't do today and like it stands out, usually when they do it again, I'm like, oh my god, I saw you do it the first time. It just felt natural in this book, and I really enjoyed that. This video is gonna be so long. I'm kind of sorry. Somebody threw away my milk. I don't know why. So I had to use, I don't know, it was in Spanish, but like basically not real milk. Lately, like in August and then again in September, I've been watching a lot of mob documentaries, and so that's why I say that this book came at a perfect time, because like I've just been obsessed with mob, and this is basically about the mob as well. Like, mob characters appear in this, and I just, wow. Like, Lucky Luciano appeared in this, and I was like, oh my god, like I freaked out a little bit. I'm like, what the heck, like that's so silly, because like he didn't actually appear in that, but it was just cool to see historical figures appear in a made-up book, you know? So I really enjoyed that. Also, we saw Zelda Fitzgerald. The romance, I feel like, may have been a little bit too quick, but and like when you step back and you think about it, it may have been a little bit too quick, but you don't realize that it's only been like 2 days, but so many things happened within those 2 days, like such like adventure-y kind of things, I guess, that you're just kind of like, oh, it's only been 2 days, so maybe that romance was a little bit rushed. I don't know, you know? And it's only been a couple weeks. I don't know. But overall, I just really enjoyed this book. It felt like felt like a contemporary. I don't read contemporaries, but like the contemporary in the sites like light and fluffy and quick to read. Benny seemed a little bit naive, but not painfully so I appreciated that. His climb through the ranks of this like gang and like mob scene was a bit fast, and like they like trusted him so easily. Like he did something like big for them to trust him, but at the same time, like knowing that like back then it was a lot like, oh my god, like are you gonna betray me? Like I can't put you into a high position of power if like I don't know you, and like I don't know where your loyalty is. Like he just literally came out of nowhere. But anyways, but I recognized that these things happened so the plot moved along, so you know, whatever. I just found that a little bit unrealistic, but it didn't like make me not like the book. So my last thoughts on this is I feel like it could have been a little bit more gritty, but I recognize that this is YA and it was focusing a little bit more on the romance. If you're not one that likes romance in books, maybe this isn't the book for you. But I feel like it had a good portion of romance and like struggling with living in the mob when you don't really want to. So imagine if I read like 8 books every month and I talked about them in this much length. This video would be 2 days long. And then the last book that I listened to / read this month was The Giver, and I also did an audiobook because I was just like, you know what, just pick a book. So I did, and I picked The Giver. I've seen the movie. I really enjoyed the movie. It's not the best movie in the world. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. This is a YA / children's utopian book. Like on Goodreads it says dystopian book, but I don't feel like it's a dystopian. It's a utopian book. I'm not too clear on why people call it dystopian. So like the second book, like I had no idea that this was a series, but the second book is a dystopian book from the description. So this book is set in like this society that's like perfect. Everybody follows the rules, and there's like precision of language so that nobody's like confused. There's basically not real feelings, and people don't see in color, blah blah blah. I don't feel like explaining. I feel like everybody really knows what this book is about. I very much enjoyed it. The audiobook was definitely very good. The narrator was very good, so I enjoyed the story as well. It was well thought out and well explained. I was reading something and somebody said that it was like a very monotone kind of book and boring. There was not really like much like flavor in the writing and the storytelling or whatever, but I felt that it was that like extra factor that the author, I don't know if the author usually writes like this or if she intended for it to sound like that so that it matched the world that they were living in, but if it was because it matched the world that they were living in, I thought that was very well and very well rounded. Even the writing mimicked the world that they lived in, so I thought that was pretty cool. My problema with this book was that it ended so weirdly, so abruptly. Like they just decided to do something and they did it and then it ended, and I was like, what? Like there's no like build up to it or anything, and like I don't know. That's why I took a star off of it. I didn't really like the ending at all, and the next book doesn't even follow this first story. It's like a companion novel, so I did not like the ending. But I really enjoyed the rest of the book. When you read this, if you've seen the movie, try not to think about the movie, because the movie is so much different than the book, and they like really played it up in the movie so that it could be more like adventure and like the typical movie arc kind of thing. So yeah, those are all the books that I have to talk about today. I'm currently reading The Magician's Guild by Trita Canavan. I started this book a long time ago, but I never actually like got into it. But I brought it with me to Belize so that I could read it, and so one day I was like, you know what, pick it up. But like right now, I keep putting it down when the perspective changed. Like there's 2 sides, the wizards and then like the people that are running from the wizards, and there are a couple of perspectives in each side, and every time it goes to like either one of the wizards' perspectives, I'm just kind of like, so I put it down and then I pick it up again and then I read, and then it changes perspective, and then when it goes back to the wizards, I'm like, But like the story's pretty, like I could do without the wizards, but the story's pretty interesting, I guess. I don't really know. We'll see how it goes. But that is it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you have any questions, if you want to tell me what you read this month, if you've read any of the books that I read, and if you don't like what I said, tell me down below. And also, I forgot to mention that I didn't read anything off my TBR. I'm good at life, I know. Also, check out my social media links, which are linked down below if you would like to. And that is all. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!
I was yours on Sunday, while we watched the children play. We fell deep in love again, like we always do.